how in the heck do you get the magazines to fall free in these little miniature guns? Mickey with CarryTrainer.com, Drew behind the editing desk. Today we're talking about how to do a proper reload on the SIG P365 or other such miniature guns. We'll set this back up, dominate the muzzle, safe holster, set that mag back up. First, let's go to the tailgate and take a look at a couple things I got laid out here. All right, so we've got a few guns laid out. I've got a P365 with a Boresight Solutions grip package. I've got a Glock 43X with a Boresight Solutions grip package. I've got a stock P365. I've got a 48 Glock and another 365 XL. In this discussion, you could put guns like a Hellcat, little cars, all types of those little pocket rockets, right? What I first want to talk about are some of these modifications and why they are valuable. So what's the upside to these little guns? Well, the upside is they're little guns. Smaller guns, less weight, more concealable, easier to hide under clothing, especially in the warm months or in warm places, if you're in places that it's warm all the time. What's the downside? Well, being smaller doesn't make the gun more shootable. It makes it more concealable and easier to toss in a holster on your body, but it's less to grab onto. And when there's less to grab onto, I have less things to grab, to manipulate, to go through the functioning of the gun as well as shooting it. So whole other discussion about choosing a gun for the proper size of your hand, strength, all that good stuff. But some of the limitations that pop up often is getting the magazines out of these guns. If you look at this little gun, the magazine well is completely into the meat of my hand. Why is that a problem? Well, let me get an empty magazine here. So I've got an empty gun, empty mag. This is one of the flush 10 rounders. It's hitting my hand. So I've got to completely move my master grip. What's a master grip? The master grip is how we are interfaced with the gun, the main way that we hold that gun. That's old hat for a lot of you, but if you're coming to this new, the master grip is how we interface with the pistol, depending on right or left hand, every time you come out of the holster. One of the main concepts of using a pistol for defense, for fighting with a pistol, is I need to have dominant control of that gun. I don't want this thing stripped away from me. I certainly don't want to drop it on my own accord. I don't want it to get knocked out of my hand. So during something like a slide lock reload, let's just set the tone for what's happening. You have used all the ammunition in your gun. The gun worked as designed. The follower popped up, locked the slide to the rear. Hopefully you have a backup mag. Well, what's that mean? It means you need to get that magazine out of the gun with purpose quickly, get it reloaded and back up, right? Well, if we've got to completely open our grip up, like I'm having to do here, I create opportunities for bad things to happen. As well, once I open up my master grip, I now need to recreate my master grip, which while we might be talking about seconds or fractions of seconds for a well-trained shooter, these are all things to be conscious of and aware of. So, some tips. Normally, the magazine release, so this can be switched to either side with this gun, with a lot of these guns, it can be flip-flopped to either side. Normally, this would be used with your right hand on the right side, you'd flip it and you'd use your left hand on the left side. What I'm going to suggest is something completely opposite. I'm gonna move the camera slightly. I'm by myself today, so I don't want to hear anything about where I'm pointing this. There is nobody behind the camera, and that is a safe downrange direction through the trees into the berm. So the gun goes to slide lock. Rather than try to use this thumb, which I can do, but if you see, I have completely opened up my grip. There's another way. As this gun comes back in, so we call this a touch point, right? In our training, as we're building the grip, 1, 2, 3, 4, full presentation, and I can fire, I can bring this gun back in towards position 3. Go look at some of our videos on the draw stroke. And as I bring it back in, the thumb of my support hand can go straight to the mag release. I'm gonna show you again, check it out. I come in, boom. It's kind of hard to see this. I'm going to try to show you in as many ways as possible. Of course, I wouldn't be doing it in this axis. The muzzle would be parallel to the earth and my magazine will be falling straight down, but it looks like this. Do you see this? looks like this. My fingers from my support hand, my index fingers maintains contact with the trigger guard, and my thumb goes right to the magazine release. Couple things happen when you do this. One, I am allowed to take less of these fingers off the gun. Two, I am maintaining some control by maintaining contact with these fingers of my support hand. And I can then, all I'm doing is opening up my pinky and kind of flaring my elbows. I'm exaggerating it. We'll run it at speed in a moment. But what it does is it gives us a really efficient way to get the mag out. You might say, well, that's stupid, I don't want to do that. Well, having trained with, like I said, or maybe I haven't said, over 50,000 rounds through these little guns, over 50,000 rounds through these little guns. We've been shooting them since they came out. I broke them. We've got videos on that. We've just shot the snot out of them. I've got a lot of time behind them, and I found out what works best for most people. If you don't want to do that, understand that there are other options. If we look at, say, one of these Glocks, grab a magazine here for the 48, 43X, same thing, I can get that mag to fall free because it's slightly longer without breaking that grip. If we look at the 365 XL, got one of the flushy mags for the XL, little bits matter. Quarter extra inch or so and that wouldn't be happening. If we look at the overall grip length here, it is literally about the same, but where it matters is the back here. There's quite a bit more angle on the SIG than the Glock, and this isn't a pro Glock over the SIG, but it's be aware of what you're buying. There is a slightly steeper angle here, which puts the magazine into the meat of most of our hands. Whereas the Glock, it's a little straighter and it allows that magazine to fall free. Of course, different hand sizes and things are gonna be dependent. If your hand's 5 or 10% smaller than mine, and I've got a pretty good sized hand, I wear a XL glove, this won't be an issue. If your hand's slightly larger or meatier than mine, it's most definitely gonna be a problem. Something else to think about. The way the human brain works, if you take this little gun out, when I was shooting these things exclusively for a few years, and I got to the point where that was my preferred method of mag release, what happened is anytime I'd pick another gun up, this is how I was dumping the mag. Why? Well, because I had tons of reps. If I was shooting lefty, I would switch that, and this would be that preferred method. So you might not like that, and that might be an indicator, maybe this gun is not for me. All right, we've got the gun set up to go to slide lock after we fire. Good master grip, present the pistol, pressure, 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 shot breaks, finger straight, come back in, press that button, go to our reload. Couple things. As we drill this, let's be real methodical. I'm not concerned about you going quickly to start. What I am concerned with is that we're building good repetitions. Let's set it up and do it again. So I really want to just talk you through the reps. And because we're coming from the holster for this exercise, good master grip, clear the holster, pressure, pressure, pressure. As I'm saying that, I'm describing pressing, pressing, pressing on the trigger, break the gun down, maintaining as much contact as I can, because it's how I'm going to maintain good control, retrieve the new mag, seat, cycle, finger straight, dominate the muzzle, dominate the space around me visually and audibly, pelvis out. And as you go to the holster, look that thing in and be super concerned and cautious about a good mindset as you're doing that. I'm not in a rush. Clear the garment, master grip, touch point, pressure, pressure, shot breaks. Notice my finger is straight as I go through the load. And one thing you'll notice as I reload these little guns, here was the part I was going to tell you at the back of the truck. Finger straight, dominate the muzzle. Let's set it back up, dominate the trigger guard. One of the things you're going to notice, again, I found this from a lot of trial and error. Dump it. Retrieve the new one out of the Neo mag. Working these little slide lock levers can be difficult. And something I found is if I get that overhand grip on these little guns, it works. The argument comes up, what if I don't have an extra hand? What if this hand's preoccupied? What if? Something I am not training for is what ifs. I'm training for what I know. Right now I have two hands. Shot breaks, dump the mag. Well, if I'm using this hand to feed the mag, I probably have that hand. If I don't, I can actuate that with my thumb. So the wrap up, good clear of the cover garment, break the shot, dump the mag, retrieve a new mag. There we go. Do you have options? Of course you have options. Food for thought. If you're gonna run these little guns, understand that you might not be able to use the same mechanics that you get away with on even a mid-sized gun like a Glock 19. You may have to augment some stuff. John Bianchi Holsters once said, one gun, one holster, all the time. John wasn't saying don't have other guns, don't have other holsters. What he was saying is, if you are studious, if you care about carrying a firearm to defend yourself, to defend the people that you swore an oath to protect, to defend your family, you are probably going to be better served by investing a bunch of time in one firearm, in one holster position, and training with it often. If we switch positions, we switch guns, we're switching parts all the time, your brain is not going to immediately remember these things. Drill this stuff often. Do remember, these little guns do have great potential. It's incumbent upon you to put the work in. Mickey with CarryTrainer.com, Drew behind the cameras and editing desk, just not behind this camera today. Be well, don't be dickheads, tell somebody you love them. And remember, we've got a ton of great discount codes on our website, CarryTrainer.com. We've got S12 coming up in November. Medical, combatives, tons of firearm skills, food and lodging is included. And if you haven't yet purchased CCW Safe, in my opinion, it is the best policy that you can get for a concerned armed citizen that wants to follow the law but have protection in case things don't go your way. Be well, don't be dickheads. There's some codes on the website. Hey, if you train with a firearm, if you carry a firearm, if you teach people firearms, the barrel block, you should get one. We keep a whole bucket of them in our range trailer. Quite simply what it is, it blocks the barrel, just as the name states, and at the end is a cartridge molded into the plastic. In this case, it's a 9mm. So they come in different calibers. You just install it right into the barrel, plugs the barrel up, makes it completely inert. It's orange so everybody can see it. Of course, when using it, you're still ingraining good habits of muzzle discipline and trigger finger control. And then it comes with a magazine follower block, which allows the student to practice things like manipulating the slide, manipulating the magazine without the follower locking the slide to the rear. Super simple, super easy to use, made in the USA. You saw how easy I put it in. That's how easy it comes out. And they come for rifles as well. Check them out, Barrel Block.